Thank you guys for joining. We are very excited about this because this is something we've been trying to build for our own use case. And when we shared it with a few people that we've kind of built this for ourselves, they really wanted to understand how it works and why did we just go with a free plan of Zoho or a $5 plan of Zoho, which is the lowest and cheapest that we could find.
Correct.
So I think, yeah, me and Mir also debated a lot that, why do we want to spend a few more dollars to build something custom which is easily available for free or at a very low cost. And that's what we'll share today, right? What was our process? How did we think about it? Why it's important to us, right? That we have something custom built versus what's available in the market, right?
Yeah.
And whether we've used Zoho, we've used ClickUp, Jira, Asana in our job. So we've seen around multiple tools. And if there's a club for hating Jira, I'd like to join that because it's for a marketer, for a non-tech person, it's very difficult to use. But yeah, so we've been there. So we've tried to kind of build something of our own, which is built on how we work, right? Not the other way around.
Correct. And we are a very, very early stage. So our processes keep changing. Every week we have a new discussion, a new discovery, a new insight, a new experiment that we want to run. And it's very painful to work those tools as per your requirement rather than make the tools according to how you want. So that was also a very, very strong requirement from our side.
Yeah. Cool. I'll quickly introduce myself and then Mir, you can go ahead. My name is Adil. I run a growth consulting firm called Curio Revelio. We work with startups on designing their growth strategy and executing it on digital marketing as well. Previously, I worked with startups like UC, Oyo, Cardeco across their growth and international marketing divisions. I'm batchmate of Mihir from ISB, class 17, and did my engineering from NSIT. But engineering was in electronics, so never coded per se, right? But yeah, I think last 8-9 months I've been building with these tools, built my own startup idea with that, trying to scale that at the same time, and like sharing everything that we learned with everyone like you.
Awesome. So my name is Mihir Sose. I consult early stage startups 0 to 1 from idea to PMF. I also run NOS, startup community, growth focused startup community. And with Adil, again, my batchmate from ISB, over the last 3 months, we've been leading sort of Vibe Stack to showcase what all is possible using vibe coding through our own experiences, through our own use cases, and helping enterprise teams, founders, individual sort of professionals to upskill and actually use these tools to make a difference in their life, right? So that's part of what we're doing here and what you'll see us doing throughout the next few months.
Yeah. So again, vibe coding, just a quick recap. It's very simple. You just imagine a software and you can tell it in natural language to these tools and it will build it out. That is the whole concept. There are 10 number of things that will go wrong in between, right? So that is what we try to cover and explain why things break and how to approach that. But yes, for this session, I think we'll focus on the simple question, build versus buy, right? Like I said, we've used multiple tools. We saw some pitfalls and some advantages over there. And then we decided to build our own. So this is about why did we do that. So I'll just cover some popular AI tools, right? Broadly, we divide them into 3 categories. Again, this is from a non-tech person point of view.
Yeah.
Starting from the bottom, Claude and Cursor, Claude Code specifically, are very powerful tools, but they're mostly built for developers, right? If you've heard of VS Code or any other CLI, basically these Cursor is again built on that. In Claude Code, you can open up in any other coding environment and start using it. In fact, Claude Sonnet 4 is the base model in all of the other tools that we mentioned over here, right? So if you are a developer, these are the best tools to go for. There are some tools which are very good for front end, right? Bolt and V0 are some of them. In fact, for some of our projects, in our own website, we build the front end on V0 and build the back end on Replit, right? So the interoperability between these tools is also quite good. Coming to full stack builders, which is most relevant to non-tech folks like us, Replit and Available. When we say full stack, it means you can build the front end, you can build the backend logic, and you can also have a database inbuilt into the same tool, right? Uh, Lovable has recently started offering all these services, right? Earlier,
Yeah,
there was an integration with Supabase, and like Mir can talk about how it was sometimes very irritating to, even after the integration, to keep building on it.
yeah,
But yeah, Replit has been there. Replit has been a very old tool, and like we work very closely with Replit, and we work with the team as well. It was initially a tool built for developers, right? And now over that they've added AI agents and AI capabilities. So it has everything that a developer would need, but with an agent. So it kind of makes it easier for a non-tech folk to use it as well.
correct.
Awesome. Just taking a quick pause. Any other tool you guys have used that you think should be here is as good as maybe a Claude or a V0 or a Replit? Emergent,
Yeah,
yes. Emergent is one of the recently popular ones.
yeah. I have not gotten a chance to try Emergent though. I've been waiting for a break in the to-do list to be able to try it out.
Maybe we'll add it to your list name again in the tool today. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so Emergent is, I think, again gaining popularity primarily in India because the founders are Indian.
Yes.
Uh, but unfortunately, it's not an India-based startup. They have a Bangalore office. They have quite a few employees, but they are incorporated in the US. The founders sit in the US. Funding is from the US. Um, but yes, I think they're still a bit early. I did give it a spin on an example we use a lot in our workshops. So it took a bit longer, but the result was quite good, right? They still have to figure out code editing is not there, right? GitHub integration was not that easy to find. Deployment is very expensive. They take 50% of your monthly credits just to deploy something. So that seemed very steep, but I'm sure that over time they will figure out these costs as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So just sharing how we came to this step or the decision of building our own project management tool, right? What we experienced was that when we use a tool, we have to, in a way, change our processes to align with the tool's features, right? Like, what kind of integrations can I afford in my current plan, right?
Yeah.
My workflow adapts around that, right? What lens, what kind of tags can I add? How can I view them? Is basically dependent on what the tool offers, and then I build my process around that. Right? Uh, but yeah, me and Mihir are very finicky, right? We don't like to change how we work. So we thought, let's flip the script and say, okay, this is our process that works for us, right?
Yes.
We have used it on Google Sheets multiple times. It's perfect for us. Let's make a tool for that, right? So that is the mindset how we approached it, right? And this will be relevant as you see also how it's built, right?
And we also sort of went from initially we were working on Google Sheets, right? But then the Google Sheets also went out of hand. We had now 20 sheets, worksheets in one Excel sheet. So figuring out which data is in which worksheet started becoming a hassle is when we said, okay, we need to now have one central repository, a lot more. We're wasting time on figuring out where data is, right? So that bottleneck then led to us actually wanting to design or build something of our own or choosing to buy it.
Yeah, yeah. So what we'll do right now is we'll just show you what we built, right? With the prompts, with what the errors were, right? How much did it totally cost me to build it out, and then we'll go into a comparison, a summary of how should you build or should you buy, right? So just switch my screen to Replit.
Yeah, and this is the question that we want to pose to everybody on the call here, right? When you're going through this demo, if you have a use case similar to ours, at every point, keep asking yourself, would you choose to build, would you choose to buy, and why so?
Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Awesome. So folks who are seeing Replit for the first time, this is what the homepage looks like, right? This is where you put in your first prompt and it starts building. Here are all the apps that you have built. Just covering a few basic features before. So Replit has recently announced a lot of integrations, right? So you can imagine these as default connectors where you just mention it to the agent, it will connect it, right? So for us, Google Calendar and Gmail are the top one, right? You can also connect Asana if you already use it, right? Confluence, Discord, GitHub is a very popular one. Google Docs, Sheets, Drive, everything you can use. You can connect Jira or HubSpot as well. Notion is a very big use case that people use, right? Spotify, Twilio. So multiple integration, and they're adding it every day. They're also adding MCP servers right now. For those of you who are aware of what MCP is, they have only one Figma right now, but we know that they're going to add many more coming in the coming days. Right? So Replit has its own inbuilt databases also, right? We have PostgreSQL, object storage. It has its own authentication, which is optional if you want to use it or not. And it also offers domains if you want to use buy directly or not. Right? So again, these are all my apps. I'll just open up this one and walk you through how we built it out. So this is a workspace that when you open a new project, this is what you see, right? And this is our tool that we built. Right? This is the development view that we're seeing right now. And I'll just walk you through one by one of what we built, how we built it, right? So that you also get an idea of what is it and why does it look like this, right? So first we decided on, okay, what are the good things that we see in the tools that are currently there, right? So one of the more major things was the view, right? The Kanban view and a list view that makes it very easy to manage things, right? So we knew we definitely need that, right? And also we didn't want a different tool because our leads are right now very easily managed. Only me and Mihir are managing. There's not a very long process. So we just need a simple list of the leads that are there. So you can see there's a small leads tab over here, right? And similarly, we can, whatever is simple, we don't need to build a new tool or use a different tool. We can add a very simple functionality within this itself. But yeah, the main thing was tracking all projects, right? So all your different projects are over there. We have two views, the list view and the Kanban view. I'll just switch and show this as well, right? So this is the list view, and this is the Kanban view. And obviously you can move these, drag and move these across, right? So I'll just put this back before I forget. So this is the view that we have, right? And again, I'll show you how each step is customizable, right? Let me open this up.
One more reason sort of we decided to go ahead with sort of building our own tool was all of the other tools that we saw out there had just too many features. It was so cluttered. There were like so many options that it literally felt like an overload, a cognitive overload. So we were like, we have very simple basic requirements. Let's just build it out and not overcomplicate things.
Yeah. Got it. So just trying to find the first prompt that I gave it.
In the Git, maybe you'll have that order.
Yeah, that version and control is there. Yeah, that's a good way to start maybe. So again, all these features are part of Replit. I'll just keep talking about them as well. So Git is basically version control of your app, right? So the agent itself starts creating versions of it based on the changes that you are making, right? So each change, and this is it's not novel to Replit. Git is a very normal concept used in software development, where people, the apps save a version of what you have built, right? So each Git commit is a change that you have made, and it saves it till that point. And you can go within each, and maybe let's say you want to undo the changes till this point. You just click on restore on it, and everything will be undone. You can start building again. Right? And this is connected to GitHub, so I can take this code, edit it anywhere on Cursor, Cloud Code, or even other like normal coding CLIs as well. Right? I'll just update this code once. Cool. So I'll just show you the first prompt if I find it here. Cool. So I think the first prompt is not visible right now. So I'll just go ahead with the demo and show you what we built. Right. So yeah, the Kanban view and the list view are the top two things that we had. Right. Then basically adding a new tool, new project. Right. So let's say CRM tool demo. Right, is the next one in our plan. Goal, build an internal CRM and demo use this to everyone. Right. So I've defined who can be the owner, right? There are some tasks that both Mihir and I have to do, right? So this is both. Status is again, whatever status you want, whatever is suited for your workflows, you can define those as, right? So this will come into plan for me, right? Start date, we'll start working on it from tomorrow. We have to finish it, let's say by 24th, right? And again, so this is another future plan that we want to create is basically integrate the OKR system into this, right? As we get more people, the team grows. That's the plan. And it crashed.
Yeah, this also is going to happen, especially when you're in the build mode. Once you deploy, then things get stabilized.
On that note, Adlan, how do you kind of do the QA for such tools, like when you're building something new, especially, as a non-tech person, how do you do quality assessment for these tools?
So yeah, so there are some inbuilt testing features of Replit, right? But majorly it is using the tool and finding bugs and making sure that everything, all edge cases are covered, right? There are a few external tools that help you kind of do a QA from your GitHub repo, right? But we haven't gone that technical till now, right? Because that will give a analysis of your code, right? So, but that's possible. That's completely possible. But till now, for us, primarily using it and finding edge cases and bugs is what is working for us right now.
Got it. Got it. So more like a UAT in this case.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And do you get to choose the language and the other things, or does it choose automatically?
So both
Like,
options are there. If you have a very specific language in mind, you can ask it to use that language only, right? If you let it choose by default, it will mostly build in Node.js.
Okay.
And TypeScript, Node.js are the default languages that it goes to. So
Okay.
primarily, all these tools build a web app, right? There is an option to, and again, two ways to build a mobile app. One is coming up soon that they're testing it out right now, where you can buy the agent will itself build an Android app for you, right? Not sure if iOS is there right now, but Android for sure. The other way is they have a general working environment, right? Like I said, it was built for developers initially, and after that they've added AI capabilities. So the general developer, you can tell it, use this language to create this, right? Stick to a mobile view. So it will stick to that language, coding language only.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So I just wanted to test out adding a new project. Yeah. CRM tool demo. Let's keep me and me. The pick date, start tomorrow, due date 24th. Tags, let me add CRM tool template. Okay. I can create the project.
Now here also you can add validations if you want, saying that the start date should not be before today's date, right? If you want to. So again, fully customizable.
Yeah. So now my CRM tool demo project is here. I can start adding tasks. Right. define the scope. So let's say this is P0 and we will have to do this. Let's pick it for Wednesday and I create a task. Okay. Now again, future capabilities and a bit more complex. You can have this complete task building through an LLM, right? Rather than making the form, you build a chat interface or a voice interface and you tell it that, just build this event out with the default values, right? And when this is made, I can shift the status directly here. Or if I prefer the list view, I can go here and change the status over here, right? So that was the basic that we have right now. And like, there's no limit to, again, so now coming to a bit comparison between why build this and versus other tools. Even in the free tier that you have, or even the first tier that you have, there are few limitations on the number of projects you can make, right? How many projects you can run, what kind of integrations you have. So here, that limitation is not there. You can have unlimited integrations with any tool that has an API, right? You can choose any view that you want, right? So if you think there's a third view that Gantt charts work better for you, or calendar view works better for you, maybe that is how you do it, right? So all the level of customization is completely up to you, right? We added an export button, but we don't need it, to be honest, right? So that is there. Cool. So I'll do the leads feature first, or in the end, because I want to talk about a custom feature, right? So what we're seeing right now is when we did a comparison, right, that customization is not there in the traditional tools, right? Unless you take the enterprise plan and the topmost plan, your company is working on it, right? So what do startups like us or small businesses like us do, right? So one of the biggest customizations that we need, both me and Mihir use the calendar a lot, right, for doing work on these tasks, right? So if you see the planner on the bottom, right, so this is basically something. Let's say every day you want to wake up and you're planning what to work on today or tomorrow, right? So we can now just drag any task, select when I want to work on it, today, tomorrow, later, and it will get scheduled on my calendar, right? Let me try to show you my calendar also.
And this is what we mean when we said that, we had our processes and we wanted to build a tool that fits our processes rather than the other way around. So any CRM that I would have used, I typically use it, for example, or even Adil for that matter, once in the morning to, let's say, plan the day, and once in the evening to see what all has happened and what should I plan for tomorrow. Everything that we do in between morning and night happens mostly through calendar. Right? So what is my task today at this time, at that time, how much time do I have to complete this, and so on. And it's a lot more accessible from my phone. So we wanted this capability to be inbuilt for this tool to be effective at all. Right? And so we built it.
Exactly. Sure, I'll have to change my share screening to show you the calendar. Yeah. So yeah, these two events are scheduled from the tool right now that I added. Yeah. So again, now you can customize it further. I've added everything to come at 11 a.m. for each day, today, tomorrow, or Tuesday, right? There's a feature to also find a slot, right? The next available slot it will pick. I think I've already implemented it. Let me try to add it for today and see. Yeah. So it picked the next slot. 11 a.m. was not available. So it picked the next slot and added it over there, right? So these are multiple calendars integrated into one. So that's why you're seeing other tools, the calendar event invites as well. Okay. But what is, you can customize it whatever way you want. I'll switch back to
Replit.
Okay. Interesting. It's not showing the screen for me, but I'll go from here. Yeah. So again, we picked what works for us in the free tools or the other SaaS tools, which are the views, right? We added a custom feature syncing with Google Calendar. And then we kind of built a smaller feature within it to manage our leads, right? So now again, we have leads across different type of workshops that we're doing. We're doing enterprises, agencies, individual workshops. We're also working a lot with startup founders on helping them build their MVPs. So now these are again test cases, not the actual leads that we have added here. But again, we have defined what steps matter to us, right? To what project type it is linked to, who is the owner, right? And anything we should know about while talking to this lead, right? And you can customize it to whatever you want, right? Whatever way. I've added edit and delete over here. You can add any other feature as you want, right? A simple search feature, although the leads are only 4 or 5 right now, but you can filter by search or by your status or by the owner, right? And approach each lead as it goes on, right? I've added a simple add lead form here, right? Again, if you think you want to integrate it with maybe WhatsApp is a bit tough, but maybe Telegram, right? You can keep adding leads, Slack, Telegram, you can add leads through that, right? So again, going back to the core concept, the tool is built around your process, not the other way around. Right?
And once we've built this, right, the real sort of value or the magic is what happens, how we use or how we change the way we use these tools at all. Now, let's say I have a conversation with a particular lead, right? I can directly integrate the, let's say I have a recording or a transcript of that call. I can directly integrate the link to that transcript in this dashboard. So Adil can see it if he wants to. I can have an AI Gemini node or an API for an OpenAI, summarize that conversation and bring out, okay, what needs to be done, what is the next steps, all of that, and put it up over here. I can even link it to create tasks for me, for Adil at all, if required, and basically build this out on its own, right? So once you have this as a base, the possibilities are huge, immense in terms of just automating small tasks that you are so used to doing these days, that it sort of compounds and saves significant amount of time if you're able to automate all of them together.
Yeah. Got it. So covering a few more things about Replit, why we build on it, what's its advantages. So like I said, database is one, right? So it has an inbuilt database that it has a partnership with NeonDB, which provides the database backend. And Replit has a separate production and development database. So it security features from that angle that whatever is happening on a front end doesn't get impacted by what's happening on the back end. Right? And if you open any development database, you can look at easily access what are the files, what are the content over there, right? This is actually available and editable over here within Replit itself. You don't have to go anywhere else, any other tool, right? So like I can change this to anything, sales CRM, right? And I save the change, fresh. Yeah, the name got changed from the backend. So as you would access your own app built by a developer, it's same, everything, all the same features available to you here as well, right? It also has a SQL console, so you can run SQL queries within this itself from all the data that you have. So this was the database. I talked a bit about Git. Git is basically nothing but version control of your app. You can connect to GitHub. I'll just show you my repo over there, right? So now I have the option to edit this in any other code editor, or maybe hire a developer after some time if I think it's too much for me to handle. Everything is on GitHub over here, right? And I can deploy it also anywhere else. Let's say I'm completed on Replit. I want to deploy. I got free maybe credits or some offer from somewhere else where I'm getting a low cost, I can deploy it there as well. So you're not logged to this tool per se. Deployment is also quite straightforward, right? So this is we've already deployed this right now. This is the beta version, so you can test it out if you want.
Yeah, feel free.
I'll put this in the chat as well. So this is deployed live on a Replit domain, right? Again, you'll see that the changes that we made are not visible here because that was a development database. This is a production database. Whatever happens here will not impact anything on the backend.
Correct.
So drop this in the chat. You guys can explore this.
Yes. Now, before we go to the actual building, what prompts we used, how much it cost, what are the steps that we went through to building? Any questions you have so far? Yeah, Swati has a question.
Yeah, so I'll just say it out loud. So first of all, Adil, thank you for Adil and Mihir, thank you for hosting us. One question: does Replit create two separate versions of the app that we are building for development and deployment? Because you said that the updation you made to development did not reflect in deployment.
Yes. So it's completely separate. Even the logs and analytics that we have are separate for the development and the production database, right? So this is for the deployed version that I have, right? So you'll have to spend some time understanding Git, right? So what it does is picks a version on your Git, right? And deploys that, right? You can also make branches, right? So right now, what I've shared right now, what I'm building right now is calendar V2, right? What is deployed right now is on main. Right? So whatever changes I make right now will not impact what is already deployed.
Okay.
So a little bit of understanding.
So for that connection, sorry.
No,
so for that connection to Git needs to be made, right? Like once you connect to Git, you upload different copies, like you have different copies of code, and then deployment uses the deployment production copy.
It's a two-click connection. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll just show you how it works. So you within Git, if you go to settings, right, on the top right now I've connected, so it's not showing me, or you'll get a CTA to connect to GitHub, right? Which basically takes you to this screen. Right. I already have it installed, but you'll get an option to install Replit. So your GitHub account and Replit will get connected.
Okay.
And then you just go back to this screen and you'll get an option to sync to GitHub. Like I'm getting synced with remote because I already synced once. And that's it. It will get synced to GitHub. And whenever you are ready to make an update where you think, that, okay, this is a working version, all errors are solved, you sync with remote again, right? So your GitHub, at least from my side, what I try to do is the GitHub repo should be something which is error-free, right? So I do all the debugging, everything here, and when I'm ready, I sync with remote and push those changes.
Okay.
Right.
And same for publish or deployment also. Once you're ready to, with the changes that you made, you redeploy, and then whatever changes you made gets reflected onto your production version of the app.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Sure. And this also helps where, let's say you're working in an enterprise and data security is an issue, right? So you can build out a test version or a development version on Replit with dummy data. And then when you want to deploy it, you can go to your IT or tech teams to say, this is what I want to deploy. Can you create a separate server for me? And then I will put production data over there.
And that database also connects your external database?
No, there you would want to use your company's database, right? So the data of your company does not go out of your company's database.
But how does the app access the database? You'll have to connect it, right?
Yes. So every database has a database URL, right? And a few more secrets that you need to add to give your app that access to the database, right?
Okay.
So secrets is, again, going a bit technical. There's a file called .env, right? Usually it shows
environment file that's there with
Correct.
SS login ID and
Exactly. So all your API secrets or your database URL is stored there so that it remains secure, is not exposed to the front end, right?
Okay. Even to Replit as well.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And Replit has a different, easier UI for it as well, which is called secrets, right? So you can add any secret. So when you change your database URL from what Replit has offered us, right, from default, it will start accessing that database, right? But I'm sure there'll be some security measures on the other end as well. So you'll have to work with whatever database provider you have to understand what all secrets need to be here to make sure access is very seamless.
Good.
Right. But we've seen people use Superbase. People have used Oracle DB as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely possible, right?
Got it.
Each database will have its separate requirements. That is the only point.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. So secrets publishing is done. Git is very important. Database is there. Console is, I think, kind of a track of what is happening with your app, right? So again, a bit technical. We don't have to get into it right now. Sure. So just wanted to show you a few prompts. I can't find the first prompt right now, but we'll cover that some other time. But basically, wanted to show that, see, there will always be errors, right? You will always get bugs. And even the best developers get bugs when they build something, right? The advantage here is you can ask the agent itself to fix those bugs, right?
Correct.
So right now, when I built the first version, this plus sign on top was not working, right? I was not able to add a new project. So I explained it to it that when I click on the plus sign of TBD or ongoing, the other new task form should open. Kindly ensure this happens. So it went through all the files, the code, right? It explained to me step by step what it is doing, right? Found the error, fixed the error. And in the end, I get a summary of what work it did, right? Which is it spent 4 minutes on this action, right? It took 30 actions, 684 lines of code it read. It added 157 lines, removed 127 lines. And this task cost me around $1, right? And this is again a step further that they have gone now. They split the cost on showing how much money was spent on each task within the whole step, right? So you get cost at prompt level and within prompt also what action was taken and how much did it cost you, right? So updating dashboard was 24 cents. Adding a property to task model for creating new task was 10 cents. Testing it, right? So Replit also has a test feature. I'll try to find that and show it to you. That testing cost me 6 cents, right? Then it updated the Kanban board to trigger task creation with column status, 33 cents. It reviewed its own code, that was 2 cents. And then there's a general category which kind of it clubs all the remaining tasks into, which was around 39 cents. So again, the option is with you, right? If you want to go and see how your each prompt is behaving, how much cost you're getting, you can do that. If not, you can also look at the overall summary, right? Similarly, multiple things I wanted to add. There was no sorting initially over here, right? So I asked it in the lead section, add sorting by each column header, right? Also give filters by status and owner only, right? So I defined exactly what filters I need, right? It worked for around 6 minutes, charged me around $1.5, and I got these features, right? Let me try to find a testing for you.
Yeah, I think Jaiprakash has a question over here. Yeah, Jaiprakash,
Sure.
go ahead.
Yeah, actually, no question. I have one pattern which I usually follow with Replit. You see, like these small changes. So for this, usually I use assistant, which actually charge just few cents, but do exactly what you need to fix. So for small fixes, assistant I found very useful.
Correct.
Yes.
So yeah, so we use assistant a lot, right? The reason I didn't use it this time, one, primarily this was a demo. So most of you who will be using it are non-tech folks. The assistant, I'll just show it to you, becomes a bit technical and is a bit limited because again, it was built for developers to optimize their code, right? But because it is AI, there's no limit. There's very difficult. It's very difficult to control what it does.
Yeah.
So you can do anything or try to do a lot of things that the agent also does, right? The
Yeah, but
advantage.
sometimes it also mislead. It start
Yeah.
making some other changes. So usually I put another line, which is, like in all caps, saying, do not touch my other codes, just focus on what you need to fix. Then you do that, like correct job.
Correct. Yeah, that also usually works. But how I explain is that imagine if your agent is a senior software developer, the assistant is an intern.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It knows how to code, but you have to tell it exactly what to change, where to change, how to think, how to approach it. Then only it will be able to do it. Right. So yeah, right now we're not building anything, or I would have gone through it in detail. Right. We want to cover what is possible and cover this use case first. But yeah, the advantage is assistant, every prompt is only 5 cents. Right. So that is the biggest advantage from a cost point of view. But yes, it takes more time. You have to think more. You have to use your
Correct.
brain. Right. So that is
So it's a trade-off between effort and cost. Either you put in the effort and reduce the cost, or you put the effort, let the agent take the effort and hence charge you a little more.
One question on costing. Agent 3 is more expensive, I've noticed, compared to the older versions.
Yes.
And you have to mention that be efficient with the cost, for the cost to be low. And I'm not sure if there is any other way to make it less costly, because the cost has substantially increased in the last 1 to 2 months, I feel.
Yes. So yes, the cost has increased primarily because they've added many more functionalities, right? And this is what these are. So the biggest one is app testing, right? Before this, we had to manually test everything and find out bugs and tell the agent that fix this bug, right? Now they have a simple toggle that if you turn this on, and whenever you build something new, it will test that functionality out, find bugs and fix it itself, right?
And you can see a video recording of it, testing it out in real time.
Yeah, I was trying to find it, but I couldn't find it in my old prompts. Let me
Can
see.
you try building one functionality here, like a small functionality, so we can see that
Yeah.
testing?
Yeah, found it.
Watch replay.
So it takes some time to load. But yeah. So it records the screen while it is testing it out. You can see how it tested it out, how it's analyzes each feature. Why is it not working?
Right. And again, it's a trade-off between effort and cost. If you want to do the testing yourself, you can sort of take that control and reduce your cost. If you think your time is better spent figuring out features, building out features, you can put the testing component onto Replit.
Yeah.
Any
So
other
again,
way to reduce the cost? Because you could test in bulk after certain steps as opposed to at each step, right?
yeah. Mostly the cost will turn out to be the same, right? The other way to do it is, and again, this is something that we're happy that we were able to give this feedback. So when the Replit team was here, we were hosting them across cities and doing AMAs with our community members. And this is the feedback we gave to them on a Monday, and the next Monday it was live. So they're like very fast on this. So it gives you control on how much autonomy, right? Or how much control you want to give to the agent, right? So max is that it will plan itself, right? Again, imagine it becomes a senior software developer with full autonomy, no permission needed. It will decide what to work on. It will plan that work. It will add new features. It will build them, write the code, test it, fix issues, again test it, and think of new feature that needs to be built and start doing it, right? Now, obviously, since it's doing all this work, it is going to be very expensive, right? So what happens is people who are not aware of this feature, they usually keep it on default, which is high.
Yeah.
Right. So even for small tasks like the color change or a sorting filter, if you use high, it is going to expand the scope and start reviewing it further. Right. So for such small tasks, we go to low, which is almost equal to assistant. Right. Low cost, what I've seen is around 8 to 15 cents on any task. Right. It will only focus on what you tell it to do.
Yeah.
Right. Medium is a bit higher, right? It also reviews codes, multiple files, fix issues, right? That it found. And high, like I said, high is the default one where it's kind of a very senior software developer. But yeah, it will not go beyond the scope of the app. When you go to Max, it goes crazy. It has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I've not used Max even once. I'm scared to use it. I don't know what will happen.
Yeah, same. So high we generally use for our first prompt when we're just building some base level out. Additional features, additional workflows, user journeys, we toggle between low and medium depending on the complexity of the functionality of feature that you're building. And that is a great way to sort of control costs.
Correct. Even after this, there are 3 more features, right, which add to the cost or add to the capabilities. One is high power models. So they also have a feature with Claude Opus 4, which is the most powerful model from Claude. Again, this is 3 times more expensive. Five times, sorry. They said it, they say it themselves. So be very careful while using it. If you're building something very complex, that is the only use case I can imagine of using it. Again, I have never used it because I try to build everything and think everything, plan before starting using this. The other is web search. Web search is nothing, basically, it will search the web for best practices and whatever tools that are there, right? The last is image generation, right? So a lot of customer facing tools that we build need some dummy data or images. So it will create those images for you.
Yeah, some background image page or some profile photo dummy images that you want to put in while testing and so on.
So you have all these 3 areas off, you have testing off, and you go to low. Your prompts will be in the range of 10 cents to 20 cents. 20 cents is, I'm not seeing 20 cents, but I'm just taking a buffer. Right?
Again, what this also means is it's a trade-off between the effort that you have to take if you want to reduce the cost, right? Which means that you will have to plan a lot more. You will have to break down functionalities into smaller and smaller steps so that the low autonomy is actually able to deliver. Because if you give low autonomy and complex tasks, it will break and you will spend more money fixing those issues. So the onus is then on you to break down the tasks, the features into as small a component as possible so that the low autonomy level also works.
Correct. And Max is like Max, both in terms of craziness and cost. I think what we've seen is people in a single prompt have spent over $100 with Max.
Right.
But yeah, the agent also worked for 2 hours then, nonstop. So that's also, again, how you use it, it completely depends on you, right? But yeah, from a cost point of view, I would avoid Max, stick to low, medium, high sometimes when you're building something complex. Great. So just before we move back to the slides, one more feature. So Replit also has this build, plan, edit mode, right? So build is, it will build the code, test it, iterate, and do everything that you're using. Plan is only a planning part, right? So in any prompt, I'll just try to show you. Okay, not in this prompt. Let me just. No. So basically, when you use the build part also, it builds out a plan first. So this is what I will do, right? And then it starts executing it. With the plan part, it will only give you a plan, right? So it kind of helps you optimize cost and kind of avoid unnecessary software that is not required, right? So it's always a good practice to first plan it out, modify the plan, and then ask it to build that plan, right? So that is a good way of optimizing cost. Edit is again a good feature. You can select specific changes that you want to make, right? So as for example, I just want to change this button, right? Or this CTA, right? Or this div, right? Or this section, right? So I'd select that and then ask it to change only things within that, right? And some basic features around the color is already there, right? So let's say, yeah. So these are a few ways you can improve the cost, but yeah, it will never be bug free, right? So that should not be the expectation, but yes, you'll have to experiment and see what works well for you.
Correct.
All right, let me move back to the slides once.
Yes. So any questions on what we discussed so far? Any doubts, anything that has been bothering you, anything that's on your mind on this?
Another question, have you gotten code review done of the stuff that you have built by anybody to see what is the quality, and can you take it to the market already with the existing solution?
So not a full code review, but yes, I've kind of shown a few developer friends of what is built, what are the bugs, right? How do I resolve them? What is needed, right? And like you can see right now, the app that I first built is now I've separated out the front end and back end, right? There's a separate logic for it that if I have done this, but yeah, this was while discussing with a developer of how I should approach this. This is my idea. This is how I want to maybe work with it over 3 months. And based on their inputs, I started using those best practices and started building out the backend and front end separately, which also Replit does by default, right? But this gives me more control over what to do with the backend and what to do with the front end. So I just wanted to, before we move to slides, wanted to show you how much it cost me to build this, right?
Yeah.
So Replit gives a very detailed breakdown of how much you've spent on each app, right? And by usage, right? So for agent, this is the Vibestack PM app that we were seeing. I've spent $31.38, right? This was the 2 views, list view, Kanban view, project, adding, deleting, task, adding, deleting, the custom calendar integration, right? And the leads pages, right? This was built around $32. I didn't use the assistant at all in this, right? So that's only using in other apps that I built. You can build unlimited apps in the paid plan. I'm at 27 right now. Collaborators, Mihir is the only one. And yeah, you also get a breakdown of how much does it cost to run it, right?
Yeah.
By data transfer, by deployment. So auto scale, again, 3 deployment options are there. You get a reserved virtual machine for deploying your software, or auto scale, which is the most common one, or a scheduled deployment, which is kind of cron jobs, right? As you can see, it's not very expensive, right? I've been running these, I think, how many tools are active right now? Let me just see.
3 at least, I think, are Vibestack, RXN,
So
and
5, 6, 7 are live right now. And I've spent only $4 on them. Obviously, there are only 1, 2, 3 which are public facing. Rest are all internal or demos.
right.
But still, it's not costing a lot, right? Anyway, we've done this analysis for you, right? I'll share that in the slides. Let me just switch to the slides.
But the point of this was to show you that $30 gets you a working product, not just a prototype of an internal tool that you want to use, right? Imagine if you work in an enterprise, for example, getting tech bandwidth is going to be a few months, and they're going to crib and cry about it. If you, let's say, hire a developer, it's going to cost you at least $1 lakh or more, and going to take you maybe 3 to 6 months to build out. So from that perspective, I think in terms of time and cost, it's an order of magnitude better.
Cool. Mihir, do you want to cover the framework?
Yes. So I hope you guys sort of went through this question in your mind. Would you, let's say, if you wanted to build a project management tool, it could be for your own personal, doesn't need to be for a professional thing also, right? Would you build or would you buy, right? And we've sort of listed down a bit of a framework on how we approached it and how you can think of approaching it. The typical response or the typical reaction that when we talk about I need a tool, right? Whether it's project management, whether it's a CRM tool, whatever it is, the first instinct, because of the traditional way of thinking, is that let's compare pros and cons, right? Let's compare features and their cost, right? And we know key users and usages are the typical parameters. So very often what happens is the tendency is to jump to step 3, where we start comparing cost, we start comparing features, and then we say, okay, this tool has X number of features at Y cost versus, let's say, X minus 3 features at Y plus 3 cost. So there's obvious trade-off saying that, okay, this is offering more features at lower cost versus the other one. But the challenge that we've seen often occurs is, okay, it has more features, it is lower cost, but do I need all of those features? Are there any features that I need but are not there? Right. And so the ideal way now to start a build versus buy framework is with step one, which is to first define the ideal process for your team. Right. And the reason this was never done traditionally is because the option to build tools wasn't that straightforward. Right. You first had to decide the tool because there was no other alternative, and then had to build a process around it. But now what AI or these vibe coding tools have done is they've reversed the script on us. Once you define the ideal process, and that means it could even be an individual process, right? So for example, I work very differently from Adil. Within, let's say, a sales team of 10 people, every salesperson may have a very different way of reaching out, very different way of approaching or running their entire sales process. So you can actually customize the process or the tool that you're using for every person in your team, right? So the framework typically starts with defining that process, finding the tool that fits your process. Once you have the process defined, then you have a requirement set, right? Then you go to the tools that are available on the market to see if there is any tool that fits your requirements. Then you compare the cost, right? If at step 2 only you find that there are no tools that actually fit all of my requirements, that's when you automatically start thinking of build, right? If there are tools that fit, then you can go to step 3, and if the costs are within your budget, you can go ahead and make the purchase of whatever tool you're planning to buy, right? But if at step 2 you find that, okay, there are no tools that cover all the use cases that I want, you start thinking of build. If you're able to go to step 3 and you think that the costs are a little prohibitive, or if I scale from, let's say, 5 to 20, the costs will get out of hand, again, that's when you start thinking about build and move away from the traditional thinking of, okay, I need to buy a feature that costs less rather than build it out personally. Right. And what it means is this, right? When you're deciding whether to build or buy based on whether you came out at step 2 or step 3, these are typical considerations that you can have, right? So you want to build a tool out if your processes are customized and complex, right? Again, when you are defining processes for an individual, they can get not necessarily complex in terms of the type of process, but the number of linkages that are there, right? Or the number of conditions that exist. If you expect your processes to evolve or expand frequently, right? So for example, startup founders, every week, Adil and I have something else that we're experimenting. We're trying to work on a new insight that we discovered last week. So our processes, the way we approach a particular, let's say, sales motion or a GTM motion is very, very dynamic, right? We don't have the time or the bandwidth to go and sit and customize the tool then to fit that process. With Replit, within 15 minutes, 20 minutes on the call that we have, we can make those changes and say, okay, this is how we're going to track this particular experiment, right? Individual user flexibility required. Like I said, if your sales team, every one of them will have a very different style of working, right? You can now customize the tool for their requirement, which means that they can focus on more revenue generating tasks. They can focus on doing their job better rather than filling up data, right? And again, team scaling fast is not equal to scaling costs, right? So if you're planning to go from 5 to 20, 25, 30, 40, your costs with Zoho will increase significantly. Here, if you decide to build it out, there is no additional cost. You might only have to incur your running costs of tokens that are used or the API calls that are made to the database. Right? So that incremental cost is very, very minimal. And finally, cross-team coordination and access. Right? And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but the biggest advantage for us, one of the reasons why we chose Build, is the flexibility it affords us. Right? We can now link this tool to our marketing dashboard. We can collect data from customers, from our customer database. We can link WhatsApp communication. We can link email communication. We can link calendars. We can even go and give access to our CA saying, yeah, this is, you want GST every month, you don't come and follow up with me, right? You just take it from this dashboard. So that if you're working with multiple teams, having all of that information in one place, coordinating across databases, extremely seamless. Right? And on the other side, when should you buy, right? And again, this is for our use case as well. If our processes are extremely standardized and simple, we don't want to get into the hassle of building something that already exists, right? There's no point in reinventing the wheel over here. If our work is, let's say, siloed, we have small team members, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have within our own department or within our own team is where our work typically lies. So coordinating between people and between teams is not a major challenge. Then maybe you might not even require this tool other than for tracking purposes. Again, security mandate with client access. If you have a company policy that requires you to not have data outside your database servers, or if you're giving access to this tool to a client, right, you want to make sure that that data is not accessible anywhere outside, you might want to consider buying a tool. Same for customer facing with sensitive data. Again, we've seen these vibe coding tools are not 100% or equally reliable as your big companies like Zoho, ClickUp, and so on. So whenever there is a sensitive data compliance requirement, better now to buy rather than to build. Sometime down the line, they might actually be equivalent, and this sort of matrix might change in the future. But right now, this is what we perceive, or at least we personally evaluate build versus buy as. Awesome. So now what we also had the option of was, right, we wanted to quickly run an experiment where, let's say you are buying, you're building this particular tool versus you are buying. And we did a basic comparison between what the custom tool cost us and what Zoho costs, right? So Zoho cost is basically free plan is 0 up to 5 users. Paid tier, which is the first one, is $5 per user, between 5 to 50 users and 100 GB storage. Our cost, which was a one-time build, is $30, maybe $5 to $10 for additional custom features that we want. And it costs about $2 per user to deploy and run the server, same amount of storage, right? Advantages or usability is fully customizable view and templates for the tool that we made and unlimited integrations. Whereas on the other side for Zoho, you have custom views, fixed templates only, and limited integrations, right? So what we found out after doing this cost and functionality or usability comparison is a custom build will break even within 1 or 2 months for a 10-member team, right? That itself from a cost perspective makes it worth the effort. After that, only your running cost is what is going to be your effective cost. So $2 per user is less or more than 50% saving as compared to what Zoho, which is the cheapest tool out there, does, right? So that 10-member becomes 100 members, your cost per your percentage saving becomes even more significant. Yeah, so it's advantages at scale from a cost perspective and a usability perspective to actually build it out. Awesome. And while we talked about the cost perspective, this is something that sort of convinced us a lot more to go for the build part, right? This mental bandwidth on the tool that we're using, on the tasks that are on our mind, and we are able to do a lot more in the same amount of time. So today, the demo that we showed you, right, that requirement started from our, we wanted to plan, collaborate, and track whatever we were doing, whatever GTM growth, outreach activities that Adil and I are doing for Vibestack. But as we built it out, we realized we could do a lot more with this, right? So in the next month, we are going to link and automate Luma event creation, right? All of these events that we do every weekend, we do on Luma. I spend at least 2-3 hours a week and significant amount of bandwidth. Like there's a checklist in my brain out of which one is always open until I finish it, right? And that mental bandwidth that it takes up is a lot more problematic for me as a founder than the 2-3 hours that it takes up, right? But even if you consider 2-3 hours, now that I have this dashboard, we have a call, let's say Alan and I have a call, we decide what to do. We're going to automate the entire process of that Luma event creation, right? We're going to integrate marketing and customer data. So basis the discussion we have, we can initiate campaigns from this dashboard. We can manage campaigns, we can track data, we can take real-time decisions on what we want to do. We can layer organization intelligence, right? Imagine you have a sales team of 10 people. Their inputs, the conversations that they are having, if you have summaries of those, you're able to add an AI layer on top of it to find out what kind of pitch is working, what language is working, what features, if you pitch, what pricing works for a particular salesperson, and you're able to transmit that information to every salesperson, right? The impact that one team can get from this centralized data or that centralized knowledge repository is unmatched. right? And it's basically a gold mine waiting to be discovered. It's just that nobody is sort of building this to that level of detail. So we don't have a lot of use cases, right? And finally, this is one very deep problem that we have. The CA keeps calling, and at the end of every month, GST invoices chahiye, humko ye chahiye, humko wo chahiye. We are going to give access to this dashboard and say we have everything over here. You pick and choose, you take what you want. Don't call us 20 times a day at the end of the month, right? So again, personal problems, issues, it's just such a load off our head that we can't imagine now not working with a tool like this.
Yeah, I think the CA points will resonate very hard with everyone. Cool. I just talk about a bit about security. I think that is even for us one of the biggest questions that we are still trying to figure out, right? So from a security point of view, like Mihir also said, right, they are not 100% secure yet, right? So, and just to share, Global very recently kind of had an exposure of which kind of allowed anyone to access or the database content of over 170 apps. This was September in 2025. In July, Replit had a very famous case where it deleted a user's entire database, right? It was after that they kind of split the development and production database separately, right, to avoid this in the future. So there are these small events that keep happening that kind of shake confidence from a security point of view. Like this is our checklist that, when your data security is a core offering of what you're trying to build, right? A startup MVP or your tool that you're trying to build for someone, then we would avoid these vibe coding tools. When you're dealing with highly sensitive data like medical records, financial data, any contracts, government contracts, then also it becomes risky. And anywhere that a strong compliance or regulatory requirements are there, like GDPR, HIPAA, and industry-specific standards are there, then also it's very tough to maintain those standards in these tools, right? So these are 2 or 3 conditions where we would avoid these tools. But having said that, these tools, especially Replit, we know very closely, is becoming better every month, right? So all their deployments are on Google Cloud. So all the default security of Google Cloud Platform is inbuilt in your deployments. Replit has a pre-deployment security scan, right? Where it scans your whole code for vulnerabilities and debugs it before deploying. So you might a few times get an error that, there are bugs, fix them, then only we can deploy. So that's a good feature to have. For enterprises, SOC 2 compliance is there for enterprise deployments, SSO, private deployments, role-based access. All those security features are there for the teams and enterprise plans that are offered. The first 2 are available to everyone. So yeah, in short, we're getting there, but yeah, still be careful around your use case when you use these tools. Yeah. Maybe you want to cover this.
And finally, yes. So this is our final test, right? If you guys have a use case for something like this, right, a project management tool or CRM tool or a tool of this genre, you have the option to build or buy, right? Again, you can build it out on your own, but we have a workshop next weekend, so next Sunday, that is, where you will build out this entire tool, right? We'll help you building it. We'll show you how to start your prompts, how to build your prompts, how to build out each issue, each feature and user journey. How do you deal with the tool sort of breaking or throwing up errors, bugs, crashes, and basically use this tool for any other feature addition that you want in the future, right? And you also get a built CRM or a PM tool at the end of it anyways, right? So this is your build accelerator. You can build it on your own, or if you want to quickly learn how to build it and get one done within a 2-hour span, there is a workshop that we have next weekend. Or the other side is buy, right? So one option again, which we wanted to experiment is, now that we've built this basic version of it, right, your base level, we are sort of giving this at cost. So it, I think, costs about $2 to run it per user. So at cost, we sort of want to give this platform out to you guys if you want to use it at $222 per user per month. And we'll also build up to 3 custom features that you want, right? So this is this baseline Kanban and view and Kanban and list view, along with, let's say, leads and adding projects and adding tasks within those projects. Up to 3 features on top of that, if you want to build out, we will build them for you, and you can use the tool that we have built. We will give you the full access, transfer the code to your account if required, and you can start using it at $222 per month, per user, right? That's about, I think, 50% of what Zoho's free tier, first paid tier offers you. Yeah. So if you've thought about throughout this workshop, whether you would build or buy, I sort of urge you to sort of take that action now, right? Decide to build or go for the workshop and actually build it out in 2 hours next weekend. Or if you want to try and switch, if you want to buy, right, something that is better, more flexible and cheaper, this QR code basically links to a Calendly link, which is linked to a call with us. So we'll discuss your requirements, the features that you want over there. And basis that discussion, we'll build it out for you and you can sort of start using the tool right after that. Yeah. So let us know. We will again come back to you maybe a month later to see whether you did manage to build or switch from any of the tools that you currently use.
Yeah. And also, like right now, please share has your opinion changed, right, between build and buy this or buy a Zoho plan, which is the cheapest one right now? If not, what is the concerns that you have, right? That will also help us kind of plan better.
Hey guys, no hardcore opinion as such. I just wanted to follow your chain of thought and get started on this. Like I told Adil in the beginning, the thing that stood out for me personally was you broke it down quite nicely as to what can be built and what can be outsourced, and the $30 number is kind of sticking out in my head. So yeah, I mean, this is a good start for me. I'm quite a beginner in this, and I would love to be a regular in your workshops. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, buddy. Cool. Perfect. So we'll send out this build versus buy option to you guys anyways in a few hours. So you can sort of go through it, review it, and then get back to us. If you want to try out the tool that we just built out for you, or we just demoed over here for you, if you want to try out some of the features, please do schedule a call with us. We'd love to hear what your use case is, and see what we can build for you on top of what we've already done over here. Yeah.